Would you know what to do if you were having a stroke? Would you even know the signs and symptoms? What about a heart attack? Our next guest, Hyvelle Furguson-Davis, is going to share her harrowing journey. And she is the poster child of why we're doing this limited series called Love My Body, Love Myself. So please stick around, join us for these next 7 weeks as we go through this special series to help you love your body and love yourself so that you can build audacious confidence. Stick around. Well, hello, and welcome to this episode of Love My Body, Love Myself. I'm your host, Alicia Couri, and today's episode, we have the absolutely amazing, phenomenal, incredible Hyvelle Furguson-Davis with us today. Hyvelle Furguson-Davis is the founder of Heart Sistas. She is a stroke and multiple heart attack survivor, and she's with us today to give us her journey, her story, and her passionate advocacy for women with heart disease and helping us live longer and live a healthy, happy, and fulfilled life. Welcome, Hyvelle Furguson-Davis.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on this show. It's a well-needed conversation. So I applaud you for even bringing this to me. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, this woman is a powerhouse. She speaks all over the world for advocacy for women, especially women of color, and from the patient's perspective. And she's also a TEDx speaker. She was on the stage with me at TEDx Miramar, and I heard her story, and it's just phenomenal. So we're going to link her TEDx talk in the notes for you to go. You have to go and watch it. She's talking about sex after heart attack. I'm just going to leave it right there. But I want to start, Hyvelle, with your story and how it came about that you found out that you had indeed suffered a stroke. This was just the beginning of the story.
Yes, well, I was not feeling well one day and I went home and I wasn't aware of the symptoms, the signs. And I was actually cooking when the stroke occurred. It was not until my husband came home and argued with me. Now, this is after my daughter called the emergency services and I
Ugh.
refused to go to the hospital.
Wait, you refused to go to the hospital. She saw something was wrong, but you were making dinner and you're like, no, I got to finish this.
Yes, uh-huh.
Wow. Praise God that you were able to finish it and nothing worse happened. So your husband was arguing with you, and did you eventually go to the hospital?
Yes, I did. And we fought tooth and nail because I had a test to take. I was so busy. And, my daughter said she couldn't understand what I was saying, and I was not cognitively there. I knew I had a test to take, and I had to get dinner ready and get my son to soccer practice. Those were the goals, and that was routine for me. So having a stroke or being sick was
Not in the
not part
cards.
of
It's
my
just like, listen,
day.
I did not plan for this. You better go away because I don't need this right now.
Yeah.
But what was happening is the words you were saying, she wasn't understanding
Yeah,
you.
she said she couldn't understand one word I was saying. She said it was jarbled. It didn't make sense to her.
Mm.
And she called my sister because she figured out something was wrong.
Wow. See, that is amazing. So, ladies, listen to this. If people are not understanding you, see, I'm getting, they're not understanding you, but in your head, everything makes perfect sense. What is wrong with them? You have to step back and think, what do you mean, what is wrong with them? They're saying they're not understanding me. Something must be wrong with me. Wow, that is huge. So you got to the hospital and they diagnosed you with a stroke right away, or was there?
Yeah, the triage nurse came in. At this point, my legs started to go limp. My arm started to actually lose elasticity. And
Mm.
once I got there, it was possible stroke, and it was like a light went off. People are running in the room, and my life got extremely quiet because the nurse said, possible stroke. And my
Yeah.
life changed.
In an instant. Wow. But that wasn't the only medical emergency that you had, because you thank God you recovered from the stroke. And then what happened?
Well, there was a lot of underlying issues that I did not really pay attention to. And
Mm.
30 days later, I had a heart attack, which followed a quadruple bypass surgery.
30 days later. And you were how old?
I was 41 at the time.
That is so young. That is so young. So at 41, you had a stroke. And then 30 days later, you had a heart attack. Did they, when you were in the hospital, did they look at anything else? Think about anything else? What your other risk factors were?
Now, this is why the advocacy comes in because I was adamant that I was neglected, I was denied, I was dismissed. There
Mm,
were warning signs, and an EKG was not done. And
mm.
it was everything except what it was. It was a back issue, it was sciatic nerve. And I was going to the hospital complaining about pain in my back and my arm, and I was completely dismissed.
Oh, how long did that go on?
Actually, for a year and a half. Now, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes about 4 years prior,
Mm.
and gestational diabetes. And, the
Which
factors were
makes you a
there.
higher risk for
Yeah.
stroke and
Yeah.
heart attack.
Hmm.
Man.
Yeah.
And you're complaining about back pain, you're complaining about sciatic nerve, and no doctor connected any of that to your diabetes or the possibility of a onset of a stroke.
Yeah, it was just take some medication, pain management doctor, and going to management doctors are the worst because you have to pee in a cup and all the stuff that you go through to say, I'm not a drug pusher or I'm not a, addict.
Yeah.
And it's so demeaning, when a doctor takes a look and he says, it's in your head. And
Your pain is in your
something's
head.
wrong
Yeah.
and you're not being addressed a certain way. And at one point I thought it was actually me going crazy. This pain is not going away and the doctors are giving me medication. I'm getting the shots and it's still here. Could it possibly be me? And that's didn't sit well with me.
And
Understanding
then the
now what I am
stress.
now.
Right. So you're in pain and now you're under stress because your life is, all consuming. There's so many things going on in your life that you don't even have time. You're cooking dinner and you got to take your son and you got all these things in your head and you don't even have time to pay attention to the fact that you're having a stroke. It's like, I don't have time for this. So I want you to share with us, for those listening, those watching, what were some of those warning signs that if a doctor really was paying attention, because again, this is about self advocacy first, like pay attention to your own health and what's going on with you. What are some of the signs that women should look out for when it comes to stroke and heart attack?
Yes, that's the key comorbidities is an issue. Hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, unchecked, uncontrolled, A1C level above 6.0 is a problem. And you
Mm,
also look at cholesterol levels. These are stuff that we don't pay attention to, the layers. And this
hmm
is the first thing that something is going on within. And then you
hmm
look at the different effects because now everything is out of control. Headaches, migraines, back pain, lethargicness, pain, upset stomach that goes on too long, or you're always tired. Those are all indication of arm drooping or arm discomfort, leg pain. All of these leads up to something. We're so quick to pull out a pill. We're
Because
not
you have a
treating
pain.
systemically what's going on inside, which is the
Yeah,
undergirth. And if it's not addressed, it becomes worse. The body talks to us,
a
but
100%.
we're
Yeah,
not listening.
we're not listening, or we're being misdiagnosed um, for it. And stroke and heart attack present very differently in women than men, correct?
Yes, yes. Well,
Because
when you see the heart attacks a long time ago, it was the Hollywood heart attack. So, man, yeah.
right, this check, like, oh, Elizabeth, this is the big one, right?
Most definitely. And a
Women
woman is
don't
more
experience that.
complex. Yeah, a woman
Yeah.
is more complex. It may be subtle.
Mm.
We just
It
don't
could
know.
be like nausea or feeling indigestion that won't go away.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a friend who was experiencing that. And we're Caribbean women and everything is a gas pain, right? Everything is
Unfortunately, yes.
unfortunately. So that's all she kept telling me. Oh no, I just need to drink some ginger tea. I just need
Mhm.
this other tea. And so she just kept drinking all these different teas. And I told her, I actually did one of these episodes with someone. It was a different show, but she said she had a heart attack and she had this indigestion that just wasn't going away. She just kept feeling nauseous and feeling like this pain in like her esophagus. Well,
Mhm.
not even just like heartburn, but just this pain and it wouldn't go away. And finally, her husband said, "You know what? I'm done with you and the antacid. We're going to the hospital to find out a week later that she was actually having a heart attack. Like she's been having a heart attack."
Mhm. Yeah.
And that happened with my friend. So I told her about this woman's story, and she went to
Mhm.
the hospital and found out that she was also having a heart attack.
Yeah.
So for
Mhm.
women, we have to listen to the signs. And I'm not saying this like every upset stomach you get or every heartburn, like run to the hospital because you're
Yeah.
having a heart attack. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that.
Yeah.
I'm saying if it's persistent, if it's
Mhm.
consistent, it's not going away. Even when
Yeah.
you take the antacid, it's not going away. That's a sign to look deeper.
Yes, if
That's
you
what we're
look at
saying, right?
if you look
Look
at the
deeper.
anatomy, yeah, if you look at anatomy of a woman and a man, we're different. A woman has smaller arteries. Men have larger arteries, and
Hmm.
so the smaller arteries are an issue. Those are microvessels, which in women, most cases, those are the ones that significantly impacted. So that's why the
The
subset is
symptoms are
subtle.
different.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's why it's so subtle. Yes.
Wow. Okay. So you've gone through the quadruple bypass surgery. What was that experience? Because that must have been frightening.
It was. It's traumatic and something I would never forget. And yeah, it makes me pause because I almost died. And I think about the fact
Yeah.
of the life. And coming out of that, everything changed. I questioned everything. Who I was
Mm.
as a woman, a wife, trying to navigate this life, trying to get out of bed. And, I had one breath, one moment, and the possibility of not seeing or going home. It became real. And then when I got home, I was so in control of everything. I questioned everything. I was married. I have my children, but I question me as a woman and a wife.
Mm.
When you're sick and you can't do and you're so vulnerable and want to do,
Yeah.
and now you have to depend on everything for everyone. And
Yeah.
I have an 8-inch scar,
Mm.
incision scar, where they had to saw my chest open. And this scar, I kind of hid from my husband for a while because it reminded me of everything that I did not, what I became
So
and what I
did you blame yourself for uh having had surgery, like having a heart attack? Like how dare I? Did you ever go into that kind of like
most definitely, heart
mhm,
disease and heart attacks are different because it's a stigma. It's something that happened to you.
mm,
Whereas cancer is something that happened because, but heart disease is no respect of persons. So I had to go back and look at my lifestyle and what I was doing and how did I contribute to this. And
yeah.
like I said, as a woman, I questioned my morality, my beauty, the essence of who I was. Was I a mother? Was I taking control of my household? Why did I fall short and have this happen to me?
Mm, wow. See, when we start thinking in that way, that becomes a depressing thought. Like that leads us into depression, into um, unworthiness, like we're unlovable because we did not measure up. We did not do right. We did not do the right thing. How were you able to spin out of that, like transform your life out of that?
It was a slow and methodical process, as like I said, having even the caregivers, my husband and my children, do the basic stuff for me. And I did not feel like I was beautiful. I felt that I was unworthy. I felt like
Mm,
I was damaged.
yeah.
And I felt like I had no more life left. And here I'm watching my children and my husband go out, and I can just stay in a bed and cry, basically. And I just kind of prayed to God in a special way. And
Mhm.
I looked at stuff that I can control. I started going back, reading, looking online information to help me kind of find some hospital practically every month because I end up with angina, which is unstable. So my numbers will go crazy. I'll go ahead and faint, and I'm back in the hospital, another event. And
Mm.
I was like, how do I get some control to get back a sense of who I was as a wife, a mother, and feel a certain way? And I talk about the scars I used to wear because I hid myself. I hid
Mhm.
myself even for my husband. I didn't want him to see the scars. I didn't want to see who I was or who I became. And
Did
it,
you feel like a monster? Like I'm just, I'm hideous now. I'm just, don't
I
look at
felt,
me.
yes, I felt unworthy and ugly. I surely did.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
So
I started addressing, me. I started taking more accountability for what I can do daily. And forming a community helped, going outside, walking,
you had
gratitude,
to change your lifestyle, right? You had to eat differently. You had to see
everything.
everything
Everything that I did that no longer served me.
different.
And I knew that for a fact. If I wanted to live or some would get somewhat a sense of who I was, granted, I understood that I could not go back to the person I was, and I can't rush along to help my future. I just had one moment, one breath, and I had gratitude because of it. And I grabbed hold of that and I started
Wow.
taking care of me.
That is a huge lesson right there. When you can slow down enough. Look at the difference in life, right? You couldn't
Mhm.
even slow down to go to the hospital, you were having a stroke. And post heart attack, post um, multiple incidences, angina, fainting, having to just recognize that each breath is precious. So I have to take this one breath at a time. And with each breath, that's how you pulled yourself out of like breath by breath. Wow. That's so powerful. That is so powerful. So you had that struggle to raise yourself out of this physically, mentally, and emotionally. How did you start to actually embrace your physical body again? That I don't know if you felt like this, but I know when I was diagnosed with cancer, there were times that I felt like my body betrayed me. Like I did everything that I could and you've betrayed me. I don't know if you ever felt that feeling.
Well, I felt the on the other side, I felt like I did nothing. And this is what I get for it.
Mm,
I felt unworthy. I felt like I did this to myself.
yeah.
And I like I said, I wore scars to hide because people ask questions, and in Florida, who wears scars?
You wore a scarf
I
just to
did.
hide everything. Yeah. Like
It was hot, and I
it was
surely
hot,
did.
but I got that scarf wrapped around because I don't want
But
everybody to see.
yeah, and one day, I felt, this is uncomfortable. This is I'm hiding who I am. And
Mm,
so I decided to embrace who I was. And I say now that my scar is just a story that tells my journey of my battles and my victories. And now
that's
I wear
right.
it with pride because something that I felt was ugly and hideous, it's a reminder for the person that I've become. And that's beautiful with all of
Yeah.
my scars and all.
Oh, it's like what is that Japanese can I'll remember it. I won't try to butcher it right now. I'll remember it before the end of this. But where a broken vessel is
Mm-hmm.
repaired with gold. So
Yes.
like your scars are um those gold threads running through your
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yes.
And there's no battle without scars. Like you cannot emerge from a battle victorious without some kind of a scar. So that
Mm-hmm.
those are our victory. Those are the things that make us victorious in
Yeah.
life.
And that's just the physical scars.
Right.
We're
There are
not even
emotional
digging
and
into the
mental
emotional
scars.
scars that,
I know.
physical scars heal after a while. But it's the
Mm-hmm.
emotional scars that can leave, a gaping hole that we don't address. And so how do you merge both to get to somewhat a sense of, harmony within, the mind, the ego, the sense of reality, everything
Yeah.
needs to be in check. And that's a difficult thing to accomplish. It truly is.
Yeah. So you mentioned a minute ago, and it's kintsugi. Kintsugi. Um, that you repair with gold, repair broken pottery with gold. You mentioned building a community that helped. That's important. Talk to me a little bit about Heart Sistas and the community that you built and the purpose of it.
Yes, Hearts is an organization that reaches and teaches. And I talk about my sisters because I was her, that one who did not understand my self-worth, my value, or even speaking up when I see something's not wrong. So we formed a community of like-minded individuals. We reach her where she is,
Mm-hmm.
and we just form a bond of sisterhood. To understand, we go out, we have yoga practices, we do walk on the beach, we do beach exercise, we do meal prepping. And I felt like when I was in my dark place, I was lonely and isolated, and it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work. So community is somewhat a sense of avenue to breathe and share your thoughts, your worries, and create harmony within. And then you go out and teach. I had a friend that used to she was a vegan, and I was not a vegan, but I knew I needed to learn how to eat better. Or someone
Mm-hmm.
is doing a 5K. Okay, I'm not there yet, but I can show up to support her. And I
Yeah.
felt that support in the community and building a community was what kept me alive. So what I thought was an urgency for me turned out to be a beautiful blessing towards live to change the trajectory of our lives. Because what
Mm-hmm.
suited me before was not going to work. And now that I know, how dare I not teach and reach my sisters?
Yeah. That's so beautiful. That is amazing because in the darkest of moments, when you know that you have that support around you, you have people that can, and I'm not talking about specifically what you went through, but any woman listening now, when you're in the darkness of those moments, when there's a sister or someone that you can turn to and reach up for help and know that she is there right there with you, it not just gives you hope, but it gives you the will and the drive that you need to help you get through another day. And Heart Sisters is a beautiful community for women teaching other women about heart disease, about diabetes, about high blood pressure, the things that you can do to change your lifestyle. But Hyvelle also advocates. She is a fierce, passionate advocate for women's health. And so share some of that. Like, how did that come about for you personally?
In retrospect, I look back at my journey and it didn't sit well with me. The
Mm,
fact that I almost became a statistic. And I went back in my community as I started looking at my actions. I looked at the corner store, I looked at certain stuff, and this is not right. And so I started actually talking about the fact of we need to do something about this.
mhm,
And people started taking notes and they started listening. And I started talking more. You get that courage to even go further. I wrote
mhm.
a few letters. Every person that would listen to me, I explained to them my story and how this is unacceptable in America. And
Right.
once I saw the risk factors or the statistics that heart disease and strokes are 80 to 85% preventive, I
Oh,
knew that every time I open my mouth, I can save a life.
wow.
Therefore, I use my words and my action and my life story to be an advocate for those. And now I wasn't there as far as my advocacy. I didn't know that, I could fire a doctor, I can talk to a doctor, I can demand care, I can go ahead and look up the CARES Act, look at stuff, prescription. I can actually talk to my pharmacy about an issue I'm having, even go to the insurance company. Now, these are stuff that we think we're in a silo care, but we do
Yeah.
have a voice. We do have a voice. And I encourage everyone, when you are in the emergency room or doctor's telling you something, go deeper. We have to
Ask
take control of
questions. Yeah.
ourselves. No one's coming to our rescue. So we're going to have to gain the information that's accessible. It's not
Yeah.
buried, it's accessible. And understand what we have. And then you take that and you join a community and you
Yeah.
grow your voice to advocate because we can save a life,
Yeah. That
especially
statistic
in our area
is
code.
scary. Yeah, that 85% of heart attacks and strokes are preventive. They're preventable,
Mhm.
that you don't have to die of a heart attack or a stroke if you understand and get the information and do, change your lifestyle, change your diet, do the things that require that shift to happen. Because in our community, when you look like us, there are lifestyles that have been passed down from generation to generation, foods that we eat, things that we do that are not healthy for our bodies. But because it's tradition, we've been doing it. And so when we start understanding that some of those traditions are killing us, we need to adopt new traditions and we
Yes,
need to adopt new ways. You
yes.
have a garden. I love seeing on social media when you're in your garden. Um, Cooking healthier, without all the fat and the grease and the butter and all the things that we've come used to. I know that's flavor, I understand, but there are other ways to flavor our food than just using a lot of grease and things. So understanding different ways of cooking our meals, different ways eh, of introducing vegetables, more greens into our meal that's not covered and slathered with all kinds of other things on
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
That's helpful. But Heart Sistas is such an amazing organization. Share with people if they wanted to know more, wanted to volunteer or be a part of Heart Sistas. How can they get involved?
Yes, it's so important that we, join forces, volunteer, collaborate, donate, most of all. I'm doing this and I tell people, people look at me and say, you're all right. No, I've been touched. And there's many days people don't see the journey. I'm in bed all day and have to do this. So we need an army of people who are willing, no matter your gifts, your talent, we need people. We need your voice. So if you want to go ahead and you join a call, you can reach us at our website. It's a beautiful website. There's so much information that's there. It's www.heartsistas, that's HEARTSISTAS. It's a community of people who need each other, and we need each other so that we can have a better trajectory for our lives and also form a better family, which instills a better community in our community.
Yes. So go to Heart Sistas,
Yes.
HEARTSISTAS.com. Is it dot com?
.com and also on
Yes.
all social media channels, Heart Sisters. Yeah.
Heart Sistas.
Make a
And
heart
join the
connection.
community. Join the community, join what they're up to and what they're doing. And if you have something that you want to know more about, reach out to them. If you're in the South Florida area, especially where they can come and share the support that they have for you to understand more about your heart health. Listen, we are almost out of time, but I just wanted to ask really quickly about your TEDx experience. What was that like for you to step on that stage and talk about your journey that was so personal, uh, you know, about coming out of heart attack, and then how do you embrace your womanhood again?
I think there's a sense of vulnerability that nobody wants to talk about, but we have to break the stigma. And, I'm not a person to say put my life on blast per se,
As
but
they
I
say.
felt it was something that needed to be addressed, something that I kept away from my doctors and my friends, but I knew that the story that I told had to be told
Mm,
because we are suffering, we have questions that we don't answer. And I feel like every time I get up on stage, I'm blessing someone, I'm watering something. in hopes that
Yeah.
it would change someone to look at life in a different angle, not as a warning, but a preparation towards living better. So
Yeah.
that TEDx journey was a lot. It was really a lot to do, to talk about sex on stage and my husband in and my children in the audience. But I felt the conversation was absolutely needed and
Yeah.
necessary.
Absolutely. And I love that you reclaimed your womanhood. You took that challenge to say, this is not right, this is not it. My marriage is like on hanging on by a thread after this whole situation, and I'm not a China doll. I can I
I
won't
was
break.
only 41.
I
I
won't
was
break. So yes. So you have the conversation with your doctor, have the conversation with yourself,
uh-huh.
and reclaim your
Yeah.
sensuality, your sexuality, your beauty, and your womanhood, and don't feel like even after a disease, there are ways that you can still be fully functional
Yeah.
as a woman.
I'm embracing my Crocs. I almost fell down it when I was in California, and I'm like, I can't do these heels. I cannot try to do it. I'm embracing some bling bling Crocs now. Okay.
Bling bling Crocs. All right. So she's wearing the flats, but they're got to be blinged out. I love it. All right. So thank you so much, Hyvelle. I really appreciate you coming and sharing your story with us. Any last words?
I tell women we are beautiful. We're so uniquely made. Don't ever think that you're not enough. You are so worth it. Give yourself a break and
Yes.
understand and just reclaim you. You're your best advocate. Someone's waiting on you, your daughter, your next generation. So reclaim it. And if
Yeah.
you're not there yet, you get with a sisterhood.
That's right. Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Hyvelle. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on and sharing all your stories and your heart with us, really. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Love My Body, Love Myself. And I want you to take some time to understand what your health really means to you and do the things to help you and prove to yourself that you love the body that you're in and you love yourself. Until next time, this is Alicia Couri saying goodbye for now. Turnover. It's incredibly expensive for any organization, but especially those that are small and mid-size. If you're an organization and you're hiring, it's so important to get it right. You need to identify the right people for the right roles. Here at Audacious Concepts Inc., we help you perfect your hiring process so you get it right every single time. Reach out to us at audaciousconceptsinc.com